I'm showing you today inking a particular drawing. This is the video clip is sped up, as you can probably, I'm sure, tell, about 3.5 times because otherwise it might be really boring. Take a half hour instead of 9 minutes. This is a character from a recent movie, Turbo Kid, which is sort of a fun post-apocalyptic uh, sort of adventure story. And the character's name is Skeletron, and I really liked the design of this character. Aside from sort of fitting in with the general aesthetic of the rest of the film, wearing sort of BMX armor and riding a bike, he's got this really nifty little saw blade saw launcher on his left hand, and this really nice hammered metal skull mask, which is what I'm drawing here. My favorite thing about the mask, in addition to sort of the big grinning teeth and the fact that you have these manic eyes looking out from it, is that the teeth all have a bolt in them, and that combined with the riding the bike gives it a very kind of older kid bully feel, which works well for the character. The film sort of operates on this nostalgic plane, and I think that this character especially sort of falls into that, scariest kid in the neighborhood type of feel, which I thought worked really well for the overall story. So he's got this sort of BMX armor, and I'm going in. I'm not adding a ton of distress yet. I'll generally speaking save that till the end. Adding straps and buckles here, and one of the things I've started being more careful with is not spotting blacks in my ink until I'm completely done with the line work, or as much of it as I'm able, because I found that it's become increasingly easy for me, since a lot of times I don't thumbnail anymore, just time saving, I guess. That the chances of me making something that butts up against something else, in terms of a black shape on top of a black shape, are are higher than if I were working out my black and white compositions ahead of time. Adding some sound effects here, sort of making them jagged to, he's got that little buzz saw coming out. And so what I find is easier now is to just do all of the line work and sort of work from one side of the drawing to the other. And then afterwards go in and start adding blacks. And that way I can make sure that I'm not putting one black shape right on top of another black shape and losing it in the drawing. I don't get a whole lot of chance to draw technical stuff in my comics. The creeps a little bit more than Krogan stuff, and so anytime I get to draw machinery and robotics and things like that, akin to this glove, I always think it's a lot of fun. So it's got kind of those construction stripes on it, so or construction equipment stripes. I don't know what those are called. I should look that up. Testing out a new pen because mine wasn't moving fast enough. The ink wasn't flowing fast enough. I really like to draw as quickly as I'm able. I couldn't find a good picture of his bike, so anytime he's riding in the film, it's always blurry. So I had to guess what that little thing on the front was. I felt like it looked like it was kind of like a little steering wheel icon type of dealy. Maybe I'm thinking that because I just saw Mad Max, so that maybe I'm wrong. But it's it looks in keeping with the rest of it. So drawing this little bike here, it's not a great angle for drawing a bike. So you know, without being able to show the bottom where the wheel hits the ground. Like he kind of loses spatial relationship, but luckily he's got a leg thrown over it, so that makes it to where it will look less wonky than it otherwise might. Um, you know, adding the chain and the pedals and all that stuff. His other leg, he's got a sort of knee pads and shin guards on over there. But like I said, it's just I thought it was a really striking design, and a really fun one. It reminded me a lot of, you know, especially you know, Asian or Italian import action movies that my friends and I would rent, not really knowing anything about them at the local video store. So now I'm starting to, when I was in middle school, now I'm starting to add those black areas in there, and I'm being, because this is sort of a fancier drawing in terms of, you know, taking my time with it. I'm being a little more precise than I sometimes do. I'm being careful on the inside of hair and things like that. A lot of times I'll just leave those spaces open and just go in and, you know, create the hair, anything that would be black, with a marker itself or a brush. For this one, I wanted it to look a little bit crisper. So now I'm just adding in those blacks. It's a black bike with yellow accents, and, you know, he's wearing black pants and a black jersey underneath the armor. So getting some shadows and straps and stuff in there. Adding in the shadows of the spikes and the eyes. Here's where I start working on that hair, and the hair I'm being a lot more careful with than I usually would, because this is sort of a commission style drawing. I was using it as an example of I haven't done any full character-centric drawings lately that aren't in a comic, so, or on a poster. So I figured that you know, if I'm going to be putting forth a commission thing, which is what I was planning on doing tomorrow, I needed to have an example of the type of stuff that I was doing, and not being sure that somebody's going to order a Skeletron and really wanting to draw him. I figured this would be the way to do it. When I'm adding like textured metal, a lot of times I'll use a brush or a brush pen. So with everything else, I was using an M-size pit pen for the line work, and then a permaopaque marker chisel point for adding in the details. But for stuff like this, I really like tackling it with a brush, because I can get that nice sort of irregular metal look that I think works really, really well. I kind of always liked to borrow that from old Jack Davis EC comics, the way he would handle helmets. I just thought was magnificent. So I'll go ahead and start adding in a little bit of detail in that helmet. Again, to give it that hammered metal feel. So yeah, this is it's pretty grainy. So my apologies. I'll be sure to post a final final shot of the image. So now I'm distressing that BMX armor, because, you know, he's been through the wastelands a few times. Add a little more shadow under there, and some on the ground. Just give that wastelandy feel to everything. And now I take a little bit of white paint and start adding in additional distress atop the existing stuff. Yeah, nearly done. So I add my signature down there, and then it is done. So here's a slightly crisper version, so that you can see what the final piece looks like, how the ink lays down, and all that. And, you know, here's some color thrown on it, just for fun, because I like color. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, if you haven't seen Turbo Kid yet, it's a whole lot of fun.